With that being said, let's go ahead and get started today. We're going to take a look at the upgraded control system that we've applied to the Autotrol residential platforms and valves. Now, this is a long time in coming, and it's a wonderful upgrade to give you a whole lot of that complex logic control interface and capabilities that's in the logic control, but we're simplifying it, make it easier to use, more straightforward with some special features as well that have great applications for lots of different markets and end users. So Autotrol has been a Pentair brand, but that valve has been manufactured since 1967, and we have innovated that over the years. And now is time for that refresh of the controller and look of the product. And we certify these products to industry standards. Valve alone is typically tested to water contact standards and for the purposes it's used for. Our dealers and distributors take our product and assemble them to a finished good for those other certifications. And this creates a breadth of solutions for the residential market using Autotrol that gives your technicians greater capability and greater speed on site to program and execute evaluations and repairs. And our commitment to quality control. These products are manufactured in ISO certified factories, showing you the dedication we have to manufacturing in a quality environment. Now, the principal reason why we soften water in the residential market, we'll talk about feel of water and things like that, but the principal goal of this technology is energy savings in the home, especially on the hot water side of things. And if you look at this is from the Department of Energy and the U.S. Bureau of Standards, and the average U.S. water is right around 15 grains per gallon. Well, to produce an eighth of an inch of scale on 15 grain per gallon hard water, it only takes about 500 gallons. 467 is the number. Well, in my home, I go through that in about 2.5 days. That means my brand new water heater in 2.5 days of running without softened water, I'm going to lose 27% efficiency. So that high efficiency heater has now dropped to a low efficiency heater, and it's costing me money every day. And as that scale builds up, you can see how significant of an energy loss it is. I have a big family, several dogs, fish tank, I garden. All of this adds up for me. I can't afford to run my home without a water softener. Saves me about $140, $150 a month in just gas heat alone. So our existing Autotrol platforms, the 255, 263, 268, 269 valves, we have 4 valves that used up to 5 different controllers. That's a lot of different variation in the marketplace for technicians to recognize and deal with quickly. So their first challenge is recognizing which platform, which valve, and which control is combined here in order to get the right product to work on. So this is the legacy brand. This is an evolution of this product over time as it developed, right? But it's really time to update and coalesce a lot of those controls and that product into a more unified, easier to manage from a business perspective product. We're improving the interface. You have a 4-button control with real buttons, so we can eliminate the capacitive touchscreen, which can drive technicians nuts with lubrication on their fingers, gloves, or even being just dehydrated at the end of the day where it won't pick somebody up. Much easier programming, just different than what you're used to a little bit, but follows a very similar architecture and labeling of the Logix controller, but easier to navigate. We have a quick start and field update application. So the first time this control is powered up, it's going to prompt you to go through a quick start guide. That can have benefit for OEMs and assemblers for quick startup and programming in their facilities, or if you're upgrading controls, you can have your techs go through it real quickly. It's all prompted for them. They don't even have to enter into the menus. It just pops up right on the screen for them. Baseline plus advanced software. This is doing a lot of the math behind the scenes. Unlike our Flex controls, Autotrol controls, the EiQ, will do some of the math for your technicians behind the scenes so they don't have to self-adjust programming to match an install base. Modern aesthetics, it's an improved look and feel to the unit, and we're consolidating 6 controls into one. As a former service provider, I love that. If I only have to carry one control throughout my day to service my platforms, that is a much better situation for me economically than carrying around 6 during the day. You know, things bounce around in trucks, get beat up, that type of deal. Got to keep it looking good. All those factors come in. And when I can reduce it to 1, that's a lot easier to do. And it continues the legacy of Logix simplicity. No changes to any of the other components in the valve. All the wetted parts are the same. All the optical sensors are the same. And all the motors are the same. So all those components from the control back are identical to what you're used to working on already. Let me see if there's, okay. Now we've assembled into this control an intuitive interface, very easy to read graphic text and display. It's multi-language. You can customize it with your business's information if you wish, with name and contact information. You have a colored black backlight that will indicate state. We'll go through that here in a minute. And just an updated feel to the older look, so you can refresh that look in the basement so it doesn't feel dated. Some customers have a cosmetic appeal needs to happen with even a functional piece of equipment like this. But a new additional features, we've added a USB-C port for easy software upgrades if and when they are needed, and programming upload, so you can have lower capable technicians program without introducing human error into that programming, as long as it's programmed correctly in the spreadsheet. So it helps you be more successful programming with your techs out in the field. We have holiday mode, which allows you to set the unit to basically it's going to go into a regen and stop at the end of brine draw. What that does is fill your tank with heavily salted water, which inhibits bacterial growth. And on the program date, when you come back, it will just regenerate and finish that process, and you're good to go. Great application for any of those short-term rental property owners you might know in your business, or dealers that service them. Backwards compatible to all our other Autotrol valves. It's IoT capable. That's buried. If you wish to unlock that feature, you'll need to talk to your distributor or your Pentair salesperson and go down that exploration with them. I'm not going to go into that today. Dealer name and phone number can be entered on the display and be part of the pre-programmed cycling display of information on the screen. So we have a quick startup menu, very easy. We'll go through that here in a minute. So what we've done is we've taken all 5 of those controls, converted them into one, all that capability. And if you're worried about being overwhelmed by complexity here, you won't be, because this has lockouts for appropriate levels for the people who are dealing with it. And this allows all three of these residential valve platforms, 255, 268, 269, to all be easily upgraded to EiQ controls. And you can see the upgrade here. Now, this is the same performance values on the valve itself. Pro forma, it's still a 25 GPM service, peak flow service application, so up to 5 cubic feet of resin. In that regard, you have a 20 up to a 20 GPM backwash, which makes this great for lifting heavier medias in a residential valve package. It has a little more capability than a lot of our competitors do in this regard, and even some of our own products. And it allows us to lift calcite, KDF, any of those heavy medias in special applications where you might need the heavy backwash. They're 2.5-inch tank openings. And remember, these are hydrostatic to 300 PSI. This is a hydraulically balanced valve. So make sure you understand the context in which you're putting your valve in. Up to 100 degrees F, it can handle. Let's not walk that edge. So be cognizant of proximity to water heaters, and up to 120 degrees F external temperature. So if you're installing these outdoors, make sure you provide them some shade so they don't get cooked out there. All right, so going into programming, this is going to be a real introductory look. So I'm not going to go through it all. Too long of a class for that, for the time frame. But visual indicators. If it is white, it's in service. If it's in green, it's in regeneration. If it's yellow, it's a minor error. This is like an aborted regen or a run-on error, something that says we just kind of goofed up a little bit, but we don't have any major failures in the components of the unit. Red is going to be something along the lines of a motor failure, optical sensor failure, meter failure, where they're not detecting anything at all. This is call now, get me fixed now, sort of an error code. And you'll get all of this information displayed on the screen, and the flow indicator is going to show flow pulses within the last 5 seconds. So it's going to update every 5 seconds for the new peak flow. Now, the controls, the buttons, we've kept this really simple for the technicians. You push 2 buttons to access any information stored in the valve. 2 on the right are settings. 2 in the middle are diagnostic and information. And the 2 on the right are manual regen. Sorry, 2 on the left are settings. 2 in the middle is diagnostic and info. And 2 on the right is manual regen. And simple, easy prompts to follow here. And we've even put it on the front of the unit. So you know, if you want the inner circle, it's those 2 buttons next to that. Okay, so it's even got some manual help written right on the front of it. So when you first power these up, you're going to get a quick start guide. And then it's going to have service. It's going to go right into service. And then if you wish to get into the settings, info, or manual regen at that point in time, after the quick start is done, you just have to hit this button combinations to get to that information. So what does that quick start menu look like? It's going to give you your language props, which valve you have, unit of measure, both US and metric and imperial units. Hardness, milligrams per liter, grains per gallon, and French and German hardness for those international markets, or aquaculture. Aquaculture uses both of those measurements for hardness interchangeably. Hardness is in milligrams per liter up to 0 to 199, so it's capable of handling almost any water environment out there in reason that we'd be using these on. You can do resin volume in liters or in quarter cubic feet, which is very different than other controls on the market. You can start off with the standard low, medium, and high salt dosages that you're familiar with the Autotrol line, 24-hour or 12-hour clock, date, and then you just hit the check mark to start up the unit, and it's done programming, all prompt to you. So if everything else in the OEM level is correct with cycle times and things like that for the valve, this is a very quick startup process, even for a novice tech looking off a worksheet. Now, once you're in the service screen, it's going to alternate between these four up here on the top: date, volume left to regen, and your flow rate at that moment in time, and then text, which can be name, number, name, email, whatever you want to do there. If you need to get into settings, it's going to give you all of these options under settings: user, cycle times, installer settings, OEM settings, passwords for each one of those levels, and diagnostic settings. And then you can reset the settings. And then if you use the salt alert, this is based on number of regens versus the number of pounds you put in the brine tank. So you need to understand that relationship. What are you brining at versus how much you salt at, and how much salt you have in your brine tank. Divide that by the pounds of salt you brine at, and you get the number of regens, and you can program that into here. I suggest 2 to 3 regens light on that, so you give people a chance to go out and get the salt and add it when that pushes off. When you hit manual regen on these two buttons, the arrow and the check, you can select cancel now or delayed to the delayed time. Holiday mode. This is wonderful for those folks with multiple homes or Airbnbs. It allows you to store the tank between visits and dates with a heavy brine load, helping mitigate bacterial growth in the tank. There are some saltwater bacterias, but you have to kind of be in the tropics or very coastal to experience any of that impact. For the vast majority of the world, this resolves a lot of those growth issues from the water supply. Continuous flow alert. This is for detecting leaks to service in homes with slabs or all the plumbing is in the walls and you won't be able to witness leaks. And this will help you detect it, set it by gallons over a certain period of time in order to trigger alert. This is really a CYA sort of function. Pick the language, and you can enter in the hardness. And this is the user settings. This is the stuff we're going to allow the end user in the home to have access to and change. So you can tell them to change hardness if they need to, and they can change language if they need to. Cycle times. This is going to be under the installer sort of guidelines. So you're going to enter your passcode. You're going to select standard or high efficiency, and high efficiency is only available on the 268, and then you'll get access to your times. Okay. Note on Autotrol: never reduce the repressurization time to 0, minimum of a minute there. Okay. And if you do have the 269, you can turn on variable brining and the steps there, and it will be brine fill first. Remember, this is a stock program. It does take a couple hours to get a fully saturated solution at standard tap water temperatures. Now, if this is an outdoor install, that's going to speed up that greatly in the summer versus the winter. Temperature matters here. Installer settings has a passcode that you can program, so your installer can lock the customer out of these settings and keep them from getting into this. Happy fingers always are a problem, but this gives you unit of measure, hardness, maintenance, schedule if you're timing it with RO service, salt dosage, resin in cubic feet, and your regen type. This is where, if you're used to using time clocks, day of the week regens, you just select the days of the week you want, and you're done. Easy peasy. If you want to go to time clock with override, you punch your override schedule there. And if you want metered, regen type metered delayed, you can go into that, or set it to immediate, and this is where you'll get your reserve type if you're going with the metered version. It can be a fixed percentage, weekly reserve, or variable reserve with the Autotrol products. Okay, your OEM settings. This is for the distributors and the people assembling their own units in their factories or in their buildings. So you can lock people out of changing this data in the field or your installers from doing so. You'll be able to lock in the valve, what efficiency standard, and what text is on that item. And importantly, they can't change the meter type or injector type once the unit is assembled. So you can lock your installer out from changing things you don't wish them to. This can also be remain left open as well. That's open architecture there. If you do need to reset your passwords, there is a new password option here. You can set the code and enter your new password, and you can protect the cycle times, the settings for the installer, and the OEM each individually, so you can allow access at different levels of the supply chain to make sure we're not getting nuisance reprogrammings by folks. And if you need to reset things, go to settings and reset. That'll allow you to enter the code there, and you can reset the parameters in the valve. And we're going to be charting data for a full year with this product. So if you get into diagnostics, it'll give you current status, gallons to next regen, flow rate, cubic volume of resin, reserve volume in gallons left on the unit, software and hardware version in case you need to update, your historical data, your regen information, your last error, whether it's no salt. All that good information that's in the head will be there for you to peruse and even download and take back to the office. Salt alerts, this is all based on the number of regens versus pound of salt in the brine tank. This is a calculation, not direct sensing. Now, the USB functionality, this is wonderful. Having run my own service business, I always was a little worried about sending guys out that may not have been as up to speed as they need to, but that's the reality of service work and new employees, that type of thing with turnover. This helps you eliminate some chaos. I can download a program, put it on a thumb drive from the Pentair Partner Center, download the spreadsheet, create a program for a specific customer or series of products I am producing. I can hand a thumb drive to a technician. He can plug it in, follow the prompts, and get a new program installed. To make it a little bit easier to get in, you can pick up one of these dongles or adapters at a store like Walmart for under 20 bucks. It's a very useful tool, especially if you got guys with big hands that may have a hard time getting a stick in their hand in behind the cover. Please leave it powered up when you do it because it's drawing power off the board. And you can download 12 months of data. That is fantastic if you're trying to see use and abuse issues with a product versus mechanical failure. It allows us to discern what's really going on. So once I get to the Partner Center, I can download this spreadsheet. And like our other spreadsheets, as you select options here, it's going to eliminate the ones you don't need any longer. And you can set that program up, download it to a stick, or if you're carrying laptops to the field, directly load it in. You're going to want to save your new program as a CSV file so the control recognizes it. If you want to upload details from the structure of the diagnostics, you're just going to go to settings and download diagnostics. Same thing with the software versions. Go to the Partner Center, download software versions, and update them the same way. It'll go through the prompts, and that's a bin file. You'll be able to see it there. Now, the retrofit, easy peasy, all day long. Probably the easiest one we've ever done. It's literally cover and control swap with the old unit. Remove the cover, remove the control. Yes, you need the cover and the control to do this upgrade. No other way around it. So you can't just order controls and pop them into this thing. Doesn't work, doesn't fit. The control, match plugs. Really, really simple. You could probably even do this blindfolded.